Hello, so the primary reason why I got interested in schizoid personality disorder is because apparently there's a correlation between INTJ personality type and schizoid personality disorder. Um, and also, apparently, it's not only INTJ that could be matched to personality disorder, but also all other personality types as well. Like, as an example, ENTP got a tendency for narcissistic personality disorder, or ESFP got a tendency for borderline personality disorder. However, that is not to say that once you are INTJ, you are also schizoid personality type, but there are many similarities. So we could say that INTJ got a tendency to have a schizoid personality type or disorder, if you like, but it's not a rule, if you know what I mean. So to start with, schizoid personality is characterized by lack of interest in social interactions, lack of interest in developing close relationships, and apparently these people are really cold and distant and aloof in any social situations. However, I could imagine there would be a tendency or misunderstanding um, to label a schizoid as a word to be the similar of schizophrenia as an example or other psychotic disorders. However, there is one reason why schizoid is called this similar word to schizophrenia. Basically, schizoid people tend to experience so-called schisms, and this happens due to an overwhelming volume of thoughts, of contradicting thoughts in their heads. So what they need to do, they need to retreat from particular situations, and they need to have some time for themselves in order to calm down, if that makes sense. Because if they don't do it, they get confused, they can get a little bit anxious as well, because there's simply too many thoughts going on in their head. And if they don't retreat, if they don't have that time for themselves, again, they're gonna experience quite unpleasant mental states, if that makes sense. Again, schizoid personality is not the same as schizophrenia. It's something totally different. It's not a mental health disorder or anything like that, because these people don't experience hallucinations, or they don't lose touch with reality whatsoever. But they are simply a little bit different than majority of people. And to start with, the first trait that characterizes these people is that tendency towards being cold and distant and aloof, especially in social situations. And these people mostly are described as lacking emotions. However, in reality, it's quite the opposite, because schizoids actually got extremely rich emotional life. However, due to the sensitivity and volume of this emotional state, they have to they try to control, and they rather appear cold in social situations. Otherwise, they will not be able to communicate on the same level with other people. And on the top of that, usually when these emotions arise in them, they don't really know what to do with them. They don't really know how to express them properly, in the most appropriate way to another person. So they might come off as quite awkward and a little bit strange. But again, they are not emotionless or anything like that. So that's a common misunderstanding of schizoid people. And that links to another trait of schizoid people. Basically, the reason why they are so emotional and the reason why they experience so many different emotional states is because, unlike most of the people in our society, then they don't use the same defense mechanisms as others, namely their repression and denial. And because of this, not only the emotional states are easily available to them, but also other unconscious material from their psyche. But that's not really a problem for them, because most of the time they are dealing with it by themselves anyway. However, the problem arises when they are in social situations, because not only their unconscious material is available to them, but also the one of other people, if that makes sense. So they are easily able to sense other people's mental states, emotional states. They can easily sense other people's motives, what motivates their behavior in particular situations. And because of that, they're getting confused in social situations, because they don't really know where the consciousness of the other person stops and where the unconscious starts. So they can easily say things that the other person is not aware of about themselves, like, oh, I think you're feeling really sad about this and this and this, and the other person will start feeling a little bit creepy, because he or she will think, oh, how did she find out about it? So that's another difficulty that schizoids might experience, and this difficulty might put them off from developing further relationships. And because of that, that can place the schizoid person in a slightly autistic position, because they will come off simply as awkward in social situations. But again, that awkwardness does not come from a social blindness. That social blindness, like that they are not aware of social clues, or they are not aware of emotions or mental states of other people, but rather this lack of social skills or appropriate social skills is due to that tendency to operate on a completely different level than most of the people. Paradoxically, schizoids can deal really well with each other. That makes sense. They can spot each other in a crowd, and when they communicate, schizoids will rather do it, quite smoothly without any issues or anything like that. Even if there is not much verbal exchange going on, they will still be able to communicate on that really sensitive level. So again, I hope that I clarified some misunderstandings about schizoid personality disorder or schizoid personality type. Because again, most of the time these people are stigmatized in the society, because everyone thinks, even the psychiatric industry tend to think that something is really wrong with these people, where in reality they are so sensitive that they are just picking up all clues in the environment, if that makes sense. And that's really overwhelming for them. And there is also a debate on the internet that schizoid personality is not a disorder. It shouldn't be taken as a pathological condition. Even Wikipedia mentions about that. But simply it's a preference due to the way the brain works. And I also included quite an accurate paper on schizoid personality type. You can find it in the description just underneath this video. And if you got any comments, if you are INTJ, I would love to hear from you whether you can relate to this personality disorder or not. So I would appreciate any comments which you can drop underneath the video. Thank you.